this episode, I wanted to discuss a bit more about the body, soul, and spirit, and particularly get into some religious issues regarding emotions. The previous episode, I talked about the body being kind of the seat and the origin of the emotions in conjunction with the soul. Emotions are those physical responses that we have to what the mind determines to be the nature of what it is that we are confronting. So the mind is certain pre-programmed, preconceived, let's say it's like a software program. And so the mind, through the senses, perceives something is happening. It will say, okay, it's this, and then it triggers a program that tells us, kiss it, punch it, run from it, eat it. And then we will have out of that some type of emotional response. Now, this is so to understand what an emotion is really a way that the human person cuts off an endless thought process that could go on and on, because the human mind is marvelous. It can weave together long fantasies and very complex ideas. And there comes a certain point where this can interfere in our ability to react to things around us. For example, if you're driving down the street and you see a car coming at you in your lane, you're going to say to yourself, gee, I wonder if he's going to hit me. What color is that car? I think I know somebody who has that kind of car. And you could go through that whole thought process on and on and on, and pretty soon you've had a head-on collision. We don't want that. We want to say, hey, there's a car coming at me. A sense of danger arises. We have a sense of, let's say, appropriate fear. And the soul says to the body, here, elevate your blood pressure, get your reflexes going, and move out of this guy's way. He's nuts. That is what an emotion does. Now, as far as our spiritual lives are concerned, we must be very, very careful about emotions. Number one is, as we are spiritually developing, our processes by which our emotions are established need to change. Hopefully we're seeing the world in a different manner over time, the more that we are in connection with God. And so there must be kind of an updating of that software, those lower functions of the brain that give us our automatic responses. And at the same time, we must also be aware that an emotional experience is not necessarily, and most of the time is not at all, a religious experience. Some people will live just according to their emotional impulses, and these are extremely dangerous, because we must remember that when we are reacting with these emotions, is we have shut down our judgment process. So if we begin to have an emotion, let's say, for example, rage, and then in the middle of that rage, we discovered that rage was based on a faulty judgment or a faulty perception, shutting down rage is very difficult, and I would say nearly impossible. You still are going to be awash in your body chemicals, hormones, brain chemicals, things, your body, your heart rate is up, everything is tense, and it's not something that we can recover out of very quickly. So emotions are something that we must be aware of, but we must be aware of that they are not the solution, they are not the answer, and they're not really what our goal is. Our goal is not to have an emotional experience of God, but rather a true experience of God, which then informs our thoughts and our emotions. But another side of this also is we must be aware of our health and our physical state. This is why in the Orthodox Church there's a great deal of concern regarding health. There are practices of fasting and bodily asceticism, And in fact, an Orthodox prayer life can be rather physically demanding. There's prostrations, and there's bows, and things going on like that. We make the sign of the cross with our bodies, because our bodies are involved in our whole personhood. So we're not shooting to be without emotions. We're not shooting to be without physical sensations, but rather we want to have a balanced approach and not let one thing dominate over the other. Because, as I mentioned before, these are co-equal parts of who we are. If we denigrate the body and say, well, it's just a prison, we're really kind of losing out on the bigger question, which is, why did God give us a body? He gave us a body to enjoy. We are, in fact, we're made to be physical beings. We are not spiritual beings trapped in the prison of a body. But if we live merely for the body, we are out of balance of who we are because of how we are made in this interrelationship. So I hope this is helpful in understanding the body and emotions, and I'll probably be giving some talk later on to clarify a few more issues regarding the body and stress. So look forward to seeing you again. Take care.